We need 10 reps from the 10 tables to come back and share it with us. So if I do this, right, how about we start at the top left of the screen and we go through each of these colours with a rep. So Helen, you've got the mic. I'm going to call out the table spokesperson for Streamlining Smart Metering. Did you fix it? Seriously? We don't want to hear from you. No. Who's the rep for Streamlining Smart Metering? Oh, you are, Rod. Thank you.
Right, we've got, is it?
Yeah,
40
about 2
seconds
minutes.
each. We're going to split it up 3 ways. Julie, what was the first topic that came out that we need to share?
So we started talking about the definition of pilot and what does it actually mean to everyone, and I think the general consensus is that this still probably means different things to different utilities. So we've, when we were listening to the panels, we talked about a pilot being a sandpit, something that you sort of play with, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, throw it in a bin, so to speak. But a lot of other utilities, including TasWater, in fact, using pilot as a concept of the next step in the digital metering journey. So, for example, we're about to start rolling out 10,000 meters for residential customers. Those 10,000 meters are going to be in the ground for their life cycle. So for 10 or 15 years, we're going to have 10,000 customers using those meters. So even from whatever definition our pilot didn't work out, we still have to maintain and support those meters and those customers. So understanding what is the definition of the pilot and what are the objectives of the pilot. So what are you trying to achieve with that? Are you just collecting the data to support the business case for a full state rollout? Are you testing technology? Or are you testing how the digital meters are going to work for your utility? Because you're using the technology that already works, so you trust in technology, you trust into the platforms, you somewhat trust into the data, but do you trust that your organization is ready for it and can roll it out?
Cool. Nish, we then talked about sources of value and the way we actually get value in different circumstances.
Yep. 1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute? Okay. Right, so we spoke about the sources of value. A lot of people think smart metering is just about billing, but it's not. A lot of the things we spoke about was how we can utilize smart metering data for picking up private leaks, which then eventuate into saving the water efficiencies or improving the water efficiencies to start deferring your capital projects to look out for another source as your demand and population increases over time. So that's one of the benefits which not many people think of. The second one we thought of is the night flow analysis from a lot of commercial smart metering, understanding your night flow, what your actual leakage is in the zone, so you can target your leak detection efforts better, understanding where your actual leaks are rather than just chasing the large night consumption, and you know the difference between the consumption and the losses. The third one was also understanding the wastewater patterns, the demand patterns. So from the smart metering data, you can understand your peak demand times, not just during the seasons, but also during the days. You can also understand and feed that data back into the treatment plants so they know what kind of demand they're expecting. And you can improve your efficiencies on the treatment plants, on the water treatment plant side. And then understanding the consumption data, you can also, like at Water where I used to work before, 80% or 79 point something percent of water consumed goes into the wastewater. That's how they build for wastewater. So there's some decent assumptions you can make about what your wastewater flow could be based on the consumption. And you can prepare that data back into your wastewater treatment plant so they know what kind of flow they're expecting.
And to answer the question, did we fix it? We asked the question, what would it take? Number one answer was collaboration. So I refer you to the SWAN publication. That's a collaboration of 50 utilities to learn from.
Very good.
And the second was operating model, one of the biggest challenges or constraints, being open to and being really serious about considering alternative operating models, not starting from we have to own the meters, therefore. So there's 2 suggestions for how to fix it.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Next is table pink, securing your operations. How do you secure my operation? Do you have 2 minutes?
Hello. All right, so we have a question here, which is, when does security or securing your operations stop being a burden and become an innovation enabler? Frank?
We had a great table, a good mixture of nice and advanced utilities and some suppliers, and we didn't solve the problem. but we
Next.
did unpack
Next.
it quite well. So firstly, everyone agrees that security is a natural stifler of the way you do things, but it's manageable through risk and a framework for managing risk. And that the nature of managing those risks and the frameworks are utterly critical because the likelihood and the impact is changing, and the breadth of where the risks are coming because of the range of new suppliers coming in and new threats coming in needs to be resilient. And so that's part of the key, and indeed one of the really insights are that vendors aren't up to speed to some of the risk plans and the risk controls that are required. The controls are required by the risks, and indeed managing that risk and the burden is having vendors who do understand that. So there's a challenge for the vendors in the room. The next part of it was that sort of opened our eyes a little bit. The innovation that we talked about isn't just about innovation to do with water cycles, but actually innovation around resilience. That in fact one of the biggest innovations that has come out of focus on more risk is the understanding to how do we actually survive if something really bad happens. That really bad thing is becoming more likely and more impactful, and the idea of how do you even survive when you're turned off the internet. And so that's actually innovation. I never really thought of it that way. And so that's sort of that's at one end of the innovation scale, which is actually really vital because of SOCI and everything else. But it will start driving. If you have a framework and you can deal with that, and then you have a framework that can deal with your suppliers and your supply chains that enable that to be made resilient, then you're going to be in a pretty good shape to do some innovative things. So you need a basis upon which to do it. And that's it. It's pretty simple, really.
Excellent. Thank you. That's certainly what keeps me awake at night, so it's good to hear that. Thank you. The next one, I think that's white, maybe silver like my head, but building frontline change management. Table silver, white, grey. Where are you? Oh, up the back. Thank you, Bernie. Here we come. Building frontline change management. Unlocking AI advantage. Get yourself ready. We'll have a smooth transition at the end of this one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we approach the problem mainly separating in three parts. It's understanding the benefits of making frontline workers change champions, digital champions. What are the barriers in the organization that will prevent them from becoming digital champions? And then how do we action? What can we do to make it work? From the benefits, we know that they're critical for the adoption changes. We need to gain their trust to enable the transformation. They have to have ownership on the solution, and they will definitely have greater impact on the adoption of the technology. Barriers, they may have a lack of visibility of the bigger picture. They will get a perception of job insecurity. They may be affected by poor change management on the organization and won't have adequate recognition strategies on their involvement on the digital transformation. And definitely something that was highlighted was the aging workforce. Apparently, the experience on the table was that when you have younger workforce, they're more prone to accept changes than aging workforce. On the actionable items on how to fix that is engage with them as early as you can on the transformation. You need to give them a clear set of principles on how you're going to do the transformation, gain trust. You need to involve them on transformative activities. Clarissa mentioned one very good example where frontline workers actually develop a mobile application to help on the transformation, so hands-on. They need to have a clear depiction of the outcome, understanding that change management needs to be different at different levels. Change management for frontline workers is not the same as change management for managers. The transparency on how results are communicated are very important, and have in mind the application of human-centered design. There was a very interesting question on that that was presented to the table is, answer what's in it for me at different levels. And depending on how you answer that, you get the engagement. So to resolve the question on when do frontline workers move from reluctant tech adopters to digital champions, the answer on the table was when the culture of the organization led them.
Very good. Excellent. Nice way to finish. Thank you very much. Looks like we are AI ready, unlocking the AI advantage. Thank you.
So good day, everybody. So, we basically answered the question of when does it become an operational reality? Well, when is now, because it's already happening. I deal with quite a lot of different industries, and I have to say, you know, seeing what you're doing here, you are pretty more advanced than some others. So you're already working on use cases. Examples that we saw in the group were around regulatory approval, asset monitoring, actually building AI products. So the great thing to hear is that the journeys in this room aren't just, you know, implementing Copilot and ChatGPT. There's some real good stuff going on in there, supporting digital twins and dealing with large data sets. David, you gave me a great quote there. You know, complexity is needed for AI advantage. Thought that was a really good thing to come out of the group. And we're also seeing a pivot from assets and dealing with singular data to really a supply chain view and the ubiquitous use of data across there. There are some things that are getting in the way, and just some things to be aware of as you're going on these journeys. So, you know, architecture, you've got to get that right from day one, especially if you want to orchestrate. We talked about data, not only the quality, but also quantity and the context of data in there. Governance, you know, working on that, making sure that you've got everybody's you've got risks identified, but also you're gaining people's trust. But number one, in terms of these journeys, is people. You know, we heard that in the first session this morning, making sure you've got the workforce skills, because we are asking people to change from being production line workers to knowledge workers. And if you're not enabling that in your organisations, then you're not going to get value and use out of this technology. Talked a little bit about information security, but also making sure that expectations are set correctly. And finally, we talked about some of the issues with legacy systems like SAP and actually getting the information out of those to arm these models. That's it.
Excellent, thank you. We are going to collect these paper notes at the end as well. We'll do our best to translate them back to you all later as well.
I'll go around and collect them all. Yep.
Okay, even better. Next up, you can get my glasses right, is achieving energy efficiency targets. Let me do a time check. Yeah, you got about 57 seconds each.
Thank you. So, small group, achieving energy efficiency targets, or digital, the power of digital for decarbonisation. We started off by just talking about the wider SWAN, and for those of you who don't know, there's some information on this available on the SWAN website, because some of us here in APAC were involved with the American and the European teams on developing a maturity index for decarbonisation, which is a real challenge, but a real positive challenge for water utilities throughout the world. Water utilities were brought in to do sanitation to help society, and now we're playing our part in that decarbonisation and making the community more livable. Challenges, though, it comes with challenges. Access to data, we talked about, we have tools out there for measuring it and for monitoring it, but access to the data and that data quality is a big challenge. We also touched on some buzzwords that seem to come up all the time, such as AI worship and AI washing. The culture change was a key component that we needed to address, which is covered in this matrix if you look it up. A lot of benefits. Simplified energy cost reduction, lowering your operational costs, improved operational efficiencies, and we ran through then some actionable items. So, actionable items, number one, join the energy efficiency and decarbonisation community of practice. Come see me if you want. There's a few others in this room if you want to get involved in that. Importance of engagement with your customers and your stakeholders, your internal, your governance internally, but what your customers expect from you and how much they want you to invest in that road, and then determine your current maturity, which is on the first slide.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was really good. Okay, we've got two more. How do I learn from my project failures? This is obviously table red.
Okay, learning from project failures. Well, our table wasn't rushed, so not many people are there. That means nobody has any project failures.
Woohoo!
If they do,
Want to
they
be on
don't
your
want
table.
They don't want to talk about them.
Come to my table.
But we had a good mix, large utilities, small utilities, tech companies and consultants. So we got stuck into it. And we looked to drive some three positions out as a result of our discussions. Much of what we discussed was previously discussed this morning and by other speakers before me. So strong sponsorship. We need to drive a project home. We need strong sponsorship. We need an internal champion, and the internal champion's got to have the authority to run it all the way. That means budget, call it, deliver it, and perhaps not be the most popular person. The second point was to plan for possible failure, because to not to do so was to guarantee that you may fail. So planning for possible failure needed continuous reassessment all along the way by the team, driven by the champion. And the third point was that we felt something was missing. You know, we come to the conferences and we hear about the real life successes and the case studies. Carrying forward for Swan, we'd love to see some real life case studies of project failures, where people pivoted, how they pivoted, what they tried to do before things fell to their eventual end, what was done. We want to learn from this.
Nice.
So we want to know how we deal with these sort of things. And so the only way we can do that is to get people to talk about it or be game enough to talk about it. So that was an outcome from our table. And then we looked for a quote. So we developed this quote. We said that every failure plants the seed for success if we listen, adapt and act together.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Great summary. Stick around for the drinks afterwards. You might hear get a couple of drinks in a few people, and you might hear some excellent stories of failure then. I reckon there's some bravery coming through. Attracting the NextGen workforce. Thank you.
Hello. We discussed attracting the next gen of workers, and some of the key points that came up in the discussions was the importance of remuneration. It's not everything, but it's certainly part of the mix. Being part of something much bigger and having purpose with the team that you're working in, and also the importance of strong teamwork. Progression of career is certainly important to the next gen of workers. Recruiting for mindset, so skills are obviously changing. So important to pick people who may have some growth mindsets and are keen to keep changing and growing. It came up that there was a bit of a lack of a water story for grads, and maybe we need a stronger water story for them. Retention's obviously really important, which feeds into culture and trust, and again being part of something much bigger. Also, working from home, flexibility comes into it, and the importance of networking for grads and meeting new people is obviously really important. The hard skills, probably around data science and GIS, is really important. And then the soft skills around having empathy and teamwork and creating safe spaces for people to be vulnerable and speak up on issues as well. And then the communication piece, just being able to read the room is really important as well. That's about it.
I think this is a great lesson in what we discussed. We had a group of 5 of us. Nice photo of the 78 people out there talking about smart meters. And I've only been in the water industry for 4 years. My name's Matt Hingston from Hunter Water. And what we discussed about is this idea of implied trust. In fact, we've just proven it today. We've skipped over it, the topic. We had four or five people very interested. We've now got 4 or 5 people that are now advocates about putting a challenge that I'm going to put onto all of you to take back to your organisation to say, are you trust fit? Because trust is dynamic. It means different things to different people. 4 presenters before me used the word trust, yet we've skipped over it. We just assume as a monopoly industry that our customers, our employees, our shareholders, our partners, who are many of you in the room, just trust us. And I don't think we can do that. We can't be complacent because the water will run out one day. We'll need to delve into our trust bank and ask for support, ask for permission to invest in.
Thank you. So we had Digital Twin. When is a utility truly ready to build and benefit from a digital twin? So we had lots of good conversation, and as you can imagine, lots of it centred around data. And so one of the key themes that came out was having good quality data, and to support that was having a data strategy as well and data governance. So there are some really important themes. Another opportunity that came about in our discussion was having a digital twin of our full water cycle. So there's lots of opportunity in that space to be able to see the data, the people, the process, the information, the technology that represent that full water cycle from source through to treat. Another key theme was around organisational learning as well, so lots of information sharing amongst the organisation and as well as through the industry. So as we learn in the space, because we learnt that everyone is very much on the same journey as what most utilities are, as we're starting in this space, we're not yet matured. So utilising all the networks and utilities to share what's happening in that space and grow.
Like Swan, for example. Yeah, so when we've kind of put it down to the three challenges, well, some of the actions we spoke about is know your customers as a starting point. So if you want to build a digital twin, try to understand who your customer is, define your use cases, define a roadmap, and then building localized controls and make sure you mitigate your cybersecurity risk. That's pretty much it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.